Hello lovely book readers, today I'm going to be reviewing the book The Ghost Bride by Yangsze Choo. I will admit, I was first attracted to this book because of the book art. I went to my local bookstore, which is Groulx here in Canada, and I was just memorized by this beautiful cover. It's just a woman of oriental looking, just kind of sleeping in some mystical stars, which could be a dream state or the afterlife, surrounded by roses. And it's just a very beautiful book. And then when you look at it, the way the pages are indented into each other, it's just a very inviting, friendly book. And it was like, read me! So I picked it up and I read the summary and I was completely enchanted. So, The Ghost Bride features an adorable and unique character called Li Lan, and I have not been so fascinated and intrigued by a main character in a novel in a very long time. So I was pleasantly surprised at how well the story was written, and when I actually picked it up, because I picked up this book on impulse just based on the cover art. So yeah, Li Lan, she is a young lady in the story, and she lives with her father, and unfortunately her mother passed away when she was very young, and the story starts where her father is struggling and is bankrupt. Now she is expected to get married, and that's how they're going to, have money come in, and how she's going to support herself, or how she's going to be respected within society, because Li Lan is in the time frame, real historic time frame within the early 17 and 1800s in Malaysia. So she is in the time frame where the British Commonwealth was ruling that part of the world, and it's set in the town of Malacca. And at that time, the Chinese were overthrown by the British Commonwealth. So there's a lot of prehistoric undertones within the story that you're going to learn about. You're going to learn about Chinese folklore. You're going to learn about their spiritual beliefs and how it was in that time, the economy, the society, the way that history, the buildings were. And it's quite fascinating, not only within the storyline, but all of this real historic facts. And she even puts at the end of the book, which is pretty neat, she even puts at the end of the book notes explaining about ghost marriages, Chinese notions of the afterlife, what it was like in Malaya, which is that's what Malaysia was called in the early 1700s, and all of this amazing Chinese dialect and sayings and meanings that that she does take the time and courtesy to explain to the reader at the end, because when you're reading it, you're being exposed to all of this new vocabulary. And it was just a very interesting story. Obviously, the title says it itself, The Ghost Bride. So what happens to Li Lan is that she is expected at some point in the story to marry a young man who has passed away, and he is haunting her to marry him. And it's the Lim family. And the Lim family and their ghost marriages and restless spirits and all of this paranormal stuff is going to happen. I'm not going to give out any spoilers, but that's basically the premise, is her journey with this encounter of this spirit entity, and then how she deals with it. Now, I will only say that yes, she does become a ghost at some point, but whether or not she becomes a bride is for you to find out when you read the novel. So what I loved, the passage I loved the most that I will share with you from The Ghost Bride, and I hope it's not too much of a spoiler, is at one point she does go to the afterlife, and there's a beautiful bond and relationship that she has with a spirit animal, which happens to be a horse. And I found that the author wrote that bond between the two very beautifully. You can sense the kingship between them. And that whole trip that you're going to take with the character down the rabbit hole, down the to the other side, is the best part of this novel, apart from how unique it is. Now, the only negative that I will say about this novel is that it was wrapped up in the last chapter, to my liking, too fast. I wanted more, but I think that was just me being selfish. I wanted to read more of what happens to the character and how it develops. But she did wrap up the story quite well, and you're not going to be frustrated or angry at the end, but you just want more. And you wish that the last chapter was written with more description, as she did in the previous chapters. So that's pretty much my short book review of The Ghost Bride, and I highly recommend it to any of all ages. It's for everyone. It's definitely for someone that is curious about Chinese mysticism, and anyone that has a curiosity about the afterlife. And the love story is there, but it's not a teenage love story. It's not a Harlequin romance novel, but there are elements of romance within it. But it's just mostly a paranormal, historical type of theme in The Ghost Bride. So I absolutely loved it. I give this 5 stars. A must read to anyone that enjoys this kind of novel. And if you have read The Ghost Bride, I would really love to hear your comments below. Let me know. Write what you thought of The Ghost Bride, or if you have any recommendations for any type of afterlife or paranormal novel, I would really like to know. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you all a most excellent week.